That's exactly right. In fact, this is the memo sent out at 8:30 this morning by the Phoenix VA director.
The dog is okay, but whether it's 100 or 115, it's still just as hot inside the car. That dog was left in a black car like this one. Well, we got the unique opportunity to be inside this DC-10 cockpit. This used to be a commercial airliner, but as you can see, it has been completely gutted. He is a quarter horse who was out on patrol about 2 weeks ago when a bar patron came right up from behind him and smacked him in his rear so hard that he almost went right out into traffic. This right here is just one of a few decorations that the criminals left behind. And down here, you can see nothing but an imprint in the gravel. Everyone terrified with the news, and the news just simply sent shockwaves throughout this community, especially parents. This was a pretty traumatic situation for the victim as well. He had no idea those two boys would be inside his home here, but he did know that he had this, a sword. And we wanted to give you a real sense of what actually happened here. I am standing right now in the shallow end of an 8-foot swimming pool. Look at this mud and sludge that all came from the ground here. It is really hard to put into words what today has been like, from the wonder to what happened to him, to the hope, to that phone call that came in that it might just be Gus Gus waiting at a random pet store. We have a much better idea of who police are looking for. This is the man. He's in his 30s, and they say he is described as heavy set. We are here at 35th Avenue in Moreland, where this latest victim had pulled off the freeway to report this suspicious activity. He says he was headed eastbound on the I-10. Investigators are becoming very concerned for the welfare of this woman. They are not releasing her name, only telling us that she is 48 years old and was hiking just behind us here with her husband and her son when they became separated right there at the summit. Here at Camelback Mountain, they've recently implemented a hydration station. Take a look at this, a large cooler full of ice and water for these hikers. But as we've learned, with it being so hot, this excessive heat warning appears to have kept people away. Matter of fact, April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. And this letter right here that she wrote was addressed to the Gilbert Chief of Police. This is an email that I received from a source within the VA, an email written by a top social worker in the social work department. The email cites specific concerns about a lack of policy when it comes to handling suicidal veterans.
This doesn't make sense. A warm hand.
Air Force veteran William Barth struggled to make sense of an email written by a senior social worker within the VA hospital. An email dated last week that clearly states concerns about the lack of protocol when it comes to treating suicidal veterans.
A promise to say, you know what, we'll get you in the system as quick as we can, doesn't help the vet that goes home and blows his brains out that night.
A grim statement, but truth, he says, and something he too has grappled with, in part because he says the system has failed him in his own mental health outreach.
I called them at 8:30 this morning and I couldn't get them to answer the phone. I'll call them right now and we can see if we can get an answer, but probably not. Hi, I am in serious need of a mental health consult. Can you please connect me with someone?
We waited and waited. No one picked up.
That they can't get it right. They refuse to get it right, and veterans continue to die.
Phoenix VA addiction therapist and whistleblower Brandon Coleman says the suicide rate is unacceptable, and so is this internal email citing patient clearance from the emergency department, but no further protocol for someone who clearly needed mental health assistance.
It's completely horrific that a veteran could be deemed suicidal or homicidal, come into the VA, to the emergency department for care, get medically cleared, need to see a psychiatrist, and this email proves that there's no policy in place how to hand that veteran off.
This is the world we live in, where we accept substandard for our vets' health care as the norm. It is not.
Now, after we brought our concerns to the VA, a spokeswoman called it alarming and said changes, specifically changes in the emergency department, are now being processed. She also said, as far as that hotline, that number that he tried to call today, questions will also be raised as far as that is concerned. Live at the Phoenix VA, Ashley Berry, 3TV.
Yeah, this is such an inspirational story. Randy Shepard actually completed Pat's run last year by walking it. He had a heart transplant 7 months ago. Tomorrow, he's going to run.
This one's been open 3 times. These 2 are the drive lines from the artificial heart. And then these are different drainage tubes out here.
Hard to imagine anyone could survive such complex procedures, much less accomplish what Randy Shepard has, especially when you consider his mindset on diagnosis day.
When I was first told I needed a heart transplant, it felt like a death sentence. To me, it was like, okay, life's over. Well, what is there to look forward to?
For Randy, it was a second chance at life.
I wanted to do something that nobody had done before, something that I shouldn't be able to do.
And he did just that. After 5 years on the transplant list and the Pats run just months away last year, Randy was the first person without a human heart to complete it.
Okay, it was rough. It was rough. There were several points along the way I was certain I wasn't going to make it.
He was fitted with a Syncardia temporary total artificial heart. And thanks to the Freedom portable driver backpack full of the electronics to operate it, he completed the 4.2-mile race in 1 hour and 40 minutes, inspired by Pat Tillman himself.
He's the kind of guy who always did things his own way. He didn't do things the way other people wanted him to do.
It's been 11 years since Tillman was killed in Afghanistan by friendly fire. The race honors the former ASU and professional football player's commitment to leadership and service. For Randy, it's about raising awareness about organ donation. And just like Tillman did, follow your heart and you can overcome any obstacle, he says.
In my own small way, that's what I'm trying to do, yeah.
What are you trying to do?
Prove to people that just because you're going through a health crisis, it's not a death sentence. It's not the end of your life as you know it.
Now, Randy hasn't had any complications since his heart transplant, and he says tomorrow he plans to run 60% of that race. He hopes his story inspires others to consider organ donation. Reporting live in the newsroom, Ashley Berry, 3TV.